There's no stopping Jim Brown on an effort like this. He goes over the top and into the end zone for his 5th touchdown of the day.
Have you ever seen an image of strength? Like this. A picture of power. Like this. A portrait of courage. Like this. Ask yourself these questions, because the answers tell you how superhuman this man really was.
You cannot make exception to these laws just because a person happens to be black or white.
Forcing the world to ask why things were the way they were, and how the rest of us could force change. He was born in the South in 1936 and raised in the North, where his legend as an athlete began. Any sport Jim Brown played, he dominated. But football was the game that lifted him to stardom. First at Syracuse University, and then to the Browns. His NFL career began in 1957, setting a new standard for how a running back could rule the game. But Jim Brown was so much more than arguably the greatest football player of all time. That was clear when he retired before he turned 30 to become a new kind of pioneer. A black action star in the movies. And that was just the start of the legacy he built outside of football. During the Civil Rights Movement, he was front and center in the fight to earn blacks economic opportunities. He organized the famed Cleveland Summit to support Muhammad Ali and his refusal to serve in Vietnam. Then, in the 1980s, he founded the American program to provide outreach to gang members and kids in juvenile detention facilities. He never stopped looking for ways to make the country better. Those of us followed in his footsteps. Rest in power, Jim Brown. We'll keep doing the work in your name.
What a man, what a legacy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Tirico from NBC. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be with all of you for what is truly a celebration of the incredible life of Jim Brown. It's only appropriate that we do this here in Canton, the birthplace of football, here in Brown's country, all the fans of Northeast Ohio. I had a feeling that would get us off to a good start. All the fans who loved Jim Brown for years, generations of fans who have heard the stories of Jim Brown's great days at Municipal Stadium and beyond. And we're honored to do it in the presence of Roger Goodell, the commissioner, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, owners of the Browns, and all the gold jackets you see, the Hall of Famers who've come to honor and remember their fellow Hall of Famer. Thank you all for being here. Members of the Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski is here as well. Thank you on this game day for being here to honor the true legend of the franchise. And about to be newly minted Hall of Famer Joe Thomas is with us as well. The first of 7,000 ovations for Joe, Annie, and the family this weekend. So I got a call asking if I'd be honored to do this, and I said, of course. Jim Brown means a lot to any of us who got the chance to meet him, and my connection is a little personal. I'm going to give it to you for about a minute or so, and then we're going to get to the program. So I grew up in Queens, New York, and you heard Jim was a son of the South, born in Georgia, but quickly following his mom a few years after she moved to Long Island, he moved to Manhasset, New York, on Long Island. It's about 12 miles where I grew up. And even growing up a couple of decades later, you heard about the legend of Jim Brown. Do you know Jim Brown won 13 varsity letters in high school? 13. He averaged 15 yards a carry in high school. But that wasn't his best accomplishment in sports. As a basketball player, he averaged 38 points a game. Do you know Jim Brown threw 2 no-hitters at Yankee Stadium when he was in high school? This is high school Jim Brown. But that's not the connection that I really feel with Jim Brown. I'm a very proud alum of Syracuse University. Jim Brown was the second black player to play sports at Syracuse University, and he left as forever the #1 athlete to ever grace that school. 10 varsity letters, All-American in football. You know his prowess there. A star in track, he finished 5th in the decathlon in addition to his football prowess. He played on the basketball team at Syracuse and averaged double digits the 2 years that he played. You may know he's a great lacrosse player in the Hall of Fame for lacrosse. But did you know that Jim Brown, lacrosse fans, you can applaud. Did you know that Jim Brown not only led the nation in scoring his senior year, but he also forced a rule change. Because of Jim Brown, you had to keep your stick in constant motion while carrying the ball because nobody could get the ball out of Jim Brown's hands when he had it in his stick. Jim Brown, groundbreaker, changed life, changed the world in so many ways. Born February 17th, you know, Michael Jordan was born February 17th, 27 years after Jim Brown was born. You would think that Michael Jordan's birthday, wow, it's the greatest athlete to ever be born on that day. Sorry, MJ. No, Jim Brown. The greatest Feb 17 of them all. 6'2", 212 pounds, 29-inch waist, massive shoulders, incredible legs. Jim Brown, you close your eyes, you can see him run. There's a picture in the Jim Brown conference room at the Browns facility of a bunch of St. Louis Cardinals at the time chasing Jim Brown. And it's just that picture when you close your mind and think about football of that era, the era that the National Football League really set a foundation to grow from. You close your eyes and think about that, you think of Jim Brown and guys chasing him, hanging on for dear life, and not able to stop him. So here's what we're going to do for the next hour or so as we celebrate Jim Brown's life. We're going to do it in chapters because, to be very honest, Jim Brown was one of a kind, unique, complex, different from anybody you ever met, and any of us who ever sat down with him are educated unlike we've ever been before. It's a book with a lot of pages, so that's why we're going to break this up into chapters. And the first chapter is going to be about the dominance that he showed on the football field. So what we'll do is we'll show you a video of these chapters, and then we have a half dozen wonderful speakers to share their personal thoughts, remembrances, and reminders of what made Jim Brown one of the greats of all time.